Howdy, folks. Welcome back to Viva La Cats. I am your host, Justin Hiles, accompanied by my great friend, Steve Maurer. And it is the morning of February 25th. This is the day after the Bearcats played in Lubbock, unfortunately losing to Texas Tech, ranked Texas Tech, mind you. But unfortunately, their streak comes to an end. They have done very well as of late. We're going to kind of dig into it. But before that, just want to make a quick mention for the 1012 Network. Again, 1012 Network, we are a part of. This is just some great coverage of the Big 12 overall. Lots of different sports for lots of different teams. And any information you want to get, it's a great source for it. Plenty of shows to look at, check out and look at. So head on over to the 1012 Network on Twitter and dig into it, boys. We've got a few things on the docket for today, but the main one is, of course, Bearcats basketball, which, again, 4-game win streak. It was the first time that the Bearcats have done this under Wes Miller in Big 12 play. In the 23 season, in the 24 season, they had not gone 4 straight against the Big 12. And now they got it with a huge win in Fog Allen, which was an absolutely historic day. So before we get to the Lubbock game that we had last night, we're going to start with that real quick just to recap, and then we'll get back on track. So, Steve, the Kansas game, if we take the mire off of all of this, of, where we're at now.
Good word.
Kansas game, that point in time, how did it feel?
I mean, I think we can say it now since we won, but you and I were both doing things during the game because we were like, I don't think we're going to win. Let's do something else with our time. And let's just, go and talk about it later. And lo and behold, our co-host emeritus, Donald, was watching the whole game, and he definitely got upset with us that we were not watching this game. And, I just tracking the score and stuff and following along. And then I turned it on for like the last 5 minutes and such just to see it, and then I listened to the radio broadcast for the last minute just to get the call, because that was great. I love Dan and Terry, but it kind of just seemed like Kansas had like a little bit of an off night. They didn't really shoot the ball well from 3, and Cincinnati just came out firing, man. And Mustafa Cham on his birthday, 28-7 ain't bad, brother. And at Fog Allen too, I'm going to try and remember all the things, Justin, that they did on Saturday. So let's start from number one. Obviously, UC's won at Fog Allen before because it used to host like NCAA tournament games. I don't think they've beat Kansas at Fog Allen before, but so I think that's number one for them. Number 2, worst home loss for Kansas to an unranked team in 53 years. 53. And then that also means that's Bill Self's worst home loss to an unranked team. I did like, by the way, that there were some Kansas fans being like, actually, that's not his worst home loss because he's had a worse one to a ranked team. And I was like, man, you guys are cooking your own coach. It was rough there on Saturday for Kansas fans. They were kind of going through it. And then they had not lost consecutive they still haven't lost consecutive home games in that 53-year stretch, which is crazy to me. It's like 550 games or something, which is still crazy. But Cincinnati had not defeated a top 10 team before 2026 started since 2012. So 14 years. And get the one at home against Iowa State, first time in 14 years. Get the one on the road at Kansas. Justin, this hadn't happened since 1990. Bob Huggins' first year at Cincinnati that UC had defeated a top 10 team in a true road game. Now, obviously, there's the classic win against Duke, but that was in that mid-season tournament event, things like that. But had not won a true road game against a top 10 team. And I was thinking about that to myself last night as the announcers were saying that Texas Tech had beaten 3 top 10 teams this year, and they'd probably beaten a few in the past few years. And I was like, oh, so this is like good teams just do this. They just kind of win those games. But anyway, and then I forget something else our boy Paul Fritchner said on the Rebound Rundown, but he mentioned something about how it was like Kansas's worst conference loss in a while too.
I'm sure.
And then we saw on Monday, Houston, who I like admire from afar as a program. I hate that they kind of like took our chain and ran with it, but I do admire them. The fact that they, went in there and Kansas kind of like ran all over them shows you like, it's a very hard place to win. And especially when Kansas is shooting the ball a lot better like they did on Saturday on Monday night. But man, like what a win. And I tweeted it, Justin, but I'm going to turn it back to you now. Can you imagine being a coach and saying, okay, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to win 2 games against top 10 teams this year in conference play, and they're still going to fire me at the end of the season?
Yeah.
Brother, that's rough.
That is tough. And I mean, I think it's one of these things where, again, if you were in year 4, you're not going to be talking extensions or anything, but you're definitely not going to be. I don't think this is going to be looming over your head near as much as it is now. I think literally if this exact same thing happened last year, West probably would have generated a lot more goodwill. But because the train fell off the rails last year and nothing happened, this year became the very dire straits of like, you have to have everything go right or you're done. Like it's just not happening. So that perspective, I think, is really tough because, I mean, yeah, the win against Iowa State was massive. It's the biggest win for the program since God knows how long.
Probably the last conference championship tournament victory. Like I'd probably say it was like mixed second to last, like penultimate game. Well, that was like the biggest victory since then. And maybe I was there, and maybe that's kind of colored my opinion of that game. But I do think that was like kind of a crowning moment for that team that year, just because of how badly they had lost to the same Houston team a week before on their own home floor.
True.
Like just like being able to turn that around and winning that was huge. But I don't think, and then maybe just in regular season wins, like the win against Illinois in Wes Miller's first year, but midseason tournament event, like in November.
I mean, they had like the win against Texas Tech too on the road, which, they were ranked at the time. And I do think that was a better win. But I think because I believe this time around Tech were they 13th or 15th this time around?
Last night they were ranked 16
or 16th. Sorry. 15. They were ranked 15th when we beat them at Texas Tech the first time we played them in the Big 12. So
you're right.
I'd still take that, but regardless of all of that, one thing that I think is really important right now is that Wes has all of the players playing at, a top level, which is really good. And I'll say too, for transitioning from the Kansas game into the Texas Tech game last night, winning 2 straight in the Big 12 is hard. Winning 3 straight in the Big 12 is hard. Winning 4 straight in the Big 12 is really hard. And 5, you're gassed at that point. And it's not like you're coming off of playing, what you did against UCF, Kansas State, Utah, and then playing Oklahoma State or playing another like West Virginia game or something like that. You're coming off of those 4 straight, and then you have to go to Texas to play Texas Tech. That's really hard. And that's a team that's loaded top to bottom, that's going to make a good run in the tournament and is clearly at the spot that they're at nationally ranking wise for a reason. They're not there for nothing. And so I think when you use all that up against Kansas after you did that 3 straight, it's just, you're asking for a lot to end up beating Texas Tech, especially for what this season has been.
Well, and then Texas Tech a couple weeks ago, like knocked off Arizona in Tucson at McHale. Like that's a huge win. Like they're, I think they're a little bit underrated for their ranking. Like I have such respect for their head coach, Grant McCaslin. And then obviously losing JT Toppin and still being able to, kind of bounce back from that. They lost the 1 game at Arizona State, but man, they looked good last night. And
and to add to that though, too, like, I mean, the mention about Arizona, like Arizona only has 2 losses on the year, and that's to Texas Tech and the other game, Kansas at Fog Allen. So, we beat Kansas there, and even Arizona couldn't do that. Like, I think that just goes to show how good that win against Kansas was, because the number 1 team in the country at the time, that was their first loss. And of course, It's going to happen somewhere. And if you're going to lose it, it's probably going to happen there, at Kansas. But the fact that they still had that, they turned that into two losses in a row to Kansas and then Texas Tech, but then they turned it around right after that and they beat BYU and Houston consecutively for Arizona. So like, it's just, I think the top end of this conference is still really, really good. And Texas Tech definitely belongs up there because technically, if you look at the board, there's a 4-way tie for second right now. You have 13-2 Arizona at the top position, and then you have Iowa State, Houston, Kansas, and Texas Tech all at 11-4 in conference play, which is massive. Of course, they have some wins over top of each other, which kind of splits them and does tiebreakers and whatnot for seeding. But there's a pretty hard line there at the top. And then UCF and BYU are kind of those, borderline teams right there in the middle. I'd add TCU into that as well. And then it's kind of the field, which unfortunately we're, a little bit behind. But that's the thing of winning or losing one game because we're 7-8 right now. If you're 8-7, you're tied with BYU and TCU. Somehow,
yeah. Did you see what happened last night to BYU?
Yeah, man,
not good.
Yeah, they had a really good start in non-con, and then BYU went and lost like 4 straight in the middle of the season to Arizona, Kansas, Oklahoma State, and Houston, and then they've kind of just been back and forth since then. And of course, they lost Saunders too, which is a really tough loss for them. Like, season-ending injury, and you lose like all-American level player. That's hard. Like you're not getting that back. You still have Debansa, but we'll see how they pan out. I just don't think they're going to be as deep of a tournament team as we originally thought, unfortunately, just because of an injury like that. But again, all of those other things mentioned about all of those other teams, again, I think it just props up how good this conference is. It props up how good the Kansas win was. How not non-effective, but how reasonable after winning 4 straight, losing to Texas Tech on the road is. I get it. Like you're not going to get that game after all this. And if you did, then this is quite literally an otherworldly run. And let's be honest, Steve, if losing to Texas Tech is sort of like the come back to earth reset they need so that they don't lose at home to Oklahoma State, I'll take it every day of the week. I'd rather lose to Texas Tech on the road than lose to Oklahoma State at home every day of the week. So I'm okay with that. I'll let it pass. They still have some work to do. They clearly have a lot of work to do. Unfortunately, with that loss, I think it's going to be a little bit harder for them to kind of make a run at the tournament. I think that one would have really put you over the edge of sort of the bubble conversation. And of course, for the first time this entire season, the Bearcats make it onto Lenardi's bracketology, which he's not been such a fan of the
last
Bearcats
spot you can make.
Literally the dead last spot you could make for like, I always love how like there's so many spots that you can technically be on. There's like, you have all of your top seeds, you have all of the like borderline areas, you have the first 4 in, last 4 in, next 4 out, and last 4 out, and then there's like another like up to be next out like kind of thing of another 4 teams. The Bearcats made the next 4 out or whatever at the very bottom of the tier, which means that if you beat Texas Tech, you probably jump, I'm talking 4, 5, 6 spaces in that type of realm where you might actually be on the borderline. Unfortunately, it just obviously didn't happen. They'll probably drop out of that now. But they still have some things to prove with Oklahoma State, BYU, and TCU. I'm a little concerned that BYU might drop out of the top 25 by the time that we play them. We still have a little bit of daylight left by the 3rd, so it's basically a week. But I don't know. It's kind of a tough spot because you lost to UCF, which is right on the borderline of being a top 25 team. UCF will probably jump up, but that means I think that BYU drops out. And if not, they might be like 25. But I think if BYU still remains a ranked team, that'll be really good for us. We just need them to not lose anymore. We need TCU to not lose any more games. And we need Oklahoma State. We need that win really badly. And I think that would really put a nice cap on your Big 12 regular season, and then we'll talk conference tourney. But real fast. Sorry. One last thing, because I know I've been yammering. The one last thing I want to say about the Kansas game really quick.
Yeah.
Mustafa Cham's 28 points was the most points by a Bearcat since the West Virginia game in the tournament, the Big 12 tournament in 23, where Lukosius dropped 31.
Oh,
that's the most since then. And because technically that's a postseason game, if you want to go back even further, that's the most since Skillings dropped 29 on Stetson in the same year, in December of that year.
Nice.
So, anyways,
Tourney. Yeah, great win like on Saturday. And honestly, I think, I was kind of giving people crap for, wanting to believe that we had a bubble chance, but man, for that 48 hours or whatever it was, like felt a lot more realistic. And now, 15-13, it does not seem like as realistic, but we've seen crazier things happen, especially with power conference teams. And this is the nice side of being on the other side of the fence now.
Oh, it really is, man.
You get so much undeserved credit for winning a couple of games against top 10 teams. I mean, it's deserved, I'm not saying undeserved, but it would be funny if for example, St. Louis didn't win their conference. Kind of sliding, by the way. Are we sure we want shirts as the never mind. It would be funny if a team like St. Louis or something like that got left out because we decided to just win 8 of our last 10 games or something and knock off a couple top 10 teams or whatever. And they're like, all right, yeah, Cincinnati going in there, last team in, playing in Dayton, brother. And
hey, I mean, if losing to Dayton is our MO, then sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, so here's the funnier one, Justin.
Yeah.
So I'm on bracketmatrix.com right now. Check it out if you're a college basketball junkie like myself. It's a great site. I'm sure most people know about it. It's always mentioned, but it basically, Justin, as you know, it's a collection of all of the bracketologists and where they put things. It's not an official science, but I think it's helpful because a lot of people love doing this just on their free time. And then there's obviously people who get paid to do it at the big outlets and such. And it just pulls all of those brackets together and kind of gives people an idea of where they think there are. And a lot of these bracketologists pride themselves on getting this stuff right. So I would be interested to see. It's always fun for me to track that. But anyway, so here's the final here's the 6-11 seeds that Bracket Matrix currently has: Indiana, Miami, Ohio, not Florida. By the way, going 28-0 and only getting an 11 seed. Justin, would you like to hazard another guess at what? By the way, Cincinnati's KenPom 47 overall. Would you like to hazard a guess at what Miami's is right now? 28-0. Miami's KenPom rating
60.
Oh, sorry, 83.
Oh my God,
83.
That's absurd. That is just absurd. I'm sorry. Hey. Come on, we got to be better people.
At least
I know that. I know they can. Okay, here's one of those things. I get it because I will say KenPom is metrics, it's statistics, it's not eyeballs. It is purely statistics measuring against other teams. But come on.
Hey, come on, at least they beat Eastern Michigan. Okay. Oh, here you go. Here's their net right now.
Net? Sorry.
What's that?
Did you say KenPom or net?
That was KenPom. Their net is 48.
Okay, so net.
And then their Bart Torvik rank. Let me pull it up because that's the three.
Probably all over the place then.
Yeah, Bart Torvik. They are. I'll look for them. But by the way, Justin,
airtime you're getting Miami Redhawks.
I know. Aren't you proud?
There's probably some UC fan here who went to Miami who's listening to this.
Guess the T. Well, hey, I know one. That's my buddy.
Yeah.
Guess the T rank for Miami on BartTorvik.com. By the way, Cincinnati, they are at 37 on Bart Torvik. Guess what Miami is?
55.
76.
Oh, man, I'm giving them too much credit, I guess, for being 28-0. I guess that just really doesn't mean much, does it?
Doesn't mean much when you play in the MAC and then you play 3 Division II schools. But anyway, Justin, like I said, the 6-11 seeds currently on Bracket Matrix. We got Indiana, got Miami, we got Missouri, Santa Clara, New Mexico, and TCU. So those are the 6. So I want you to put this in your mind. Miami gets all the way to the conference championship game of the MAC and drops a heartbreaker to whoever it might be. Maybe Akron, they got a good squad. Maybe Ohio. I don't know. One of those 2. And Cincinnati gets all the way to Friday of the Big 12 tournament, meaning they would have had to win 2 games probably.
Yeah.
And the committee is looking at it and says, this Miami team started off the season like 33-0 or whatever, dropped their final game. And that Cincinnati team, they do have 2 top 10 wins. Cincinnati, you're going in, baby. Why don't you go ahead? Miami, tough luck, great run for you guys. But Cincinnati's just got, just imagine that scenario. And just imagine how.
You want to talk about front page news of just any American sports outlet.
Oh,
Cincinnati,
yes.
What?
Again, likelihood
18, 19, and fucking 14, whatever our record. I don't even know what our record would be at that point. Yeah, I guess it would actually technically, I think it would be 19 and 14 because we have 15 wins right now. Let's say you win the last 3, that puts you at 18. You win 1 more game, maybe 2, so maybe you hit 20. So recently 20 win, somehow Cincinnati gets put in over Miami of one of the best records that we've seen in regular season college basketball in God knows how long. And there's that rivalry that already exists, dude. I mean, I'm talking TQL in September would be absolutely obscene. It would be a war.
Maybe Miami would finally agree to play us. We've apparently, according to Chad Brendle's sources, we've offered them every year to play them, and they've always said no. So except for the 1 year where we played them up there. And by the way, did they come back?
Why would they do that? They wouldn't be undefeated. They'd have 1 loss right now. I mean, I say that they just beat Eastern Michigan last night, so we really can't say a lot.
See, I agree. I want them to have their fun. Enjoy it. This is an awesome season. You guys should definitely enjoy this. Obviously these things don't come around all the time. So it needs to be one of those things that you really appreciate and enjoy, and I don't want to give them too much crap, but let's just have some fun and imagine that scenario.
Let's also say to as Cincinnati Bearcats fans, A, we're going to do this. C, or A, wow, I just skipped a whole letter. B, I think one of the most important things for, us to say here is we're always going to dog on Xavier. Miami, yeah, they're the little bro in this situation. However, we're still going to root for them to do well on their own. I think where Xavier, I want nothing but eternal suffering. I want Miami to do well. If Xavier pummels into the ground and dies, really sad for our rivalry. And I'm, that wouldn't actually be good for us or for sports or for anything. However, for the heart, it'd be a little good. I could see it happening. I could take it. I could understand.
Yeah.
So Miami, we'll root for them. We'll root for them when they're not playing us.
Yep, that's fair. Not a basketball.
They don't get too yappy. If you get too yappy, then we're gonna have to put you back in your place.
So real quick, Justin, let's go over just some of the metrics. Like I mentioned on KenPom, net has not updated yet for this morning. KenPom, Cincinnati is at a 47 overall, right behind UCF, who's at 46. Bart Torvik, Cincinnati is 37th, and before the net updates, Cincinnati was at 51 before the refresh. But my fun fact, by the way, that I mentioned, Justin, before we started recording, Bart Torvik, you can pick a certain date and then choose and see how teams have been playing since that date. Since February 6th, my half birthday, there are 10 teams, the top 10 teams in that time: Duke, Florida, Michigan, Purdue, Illinois, Arkansas, Arizona, Texas Tech, Cincinnati, Virginia, and Houston is number 11, and Gonzaga is number 12, and Louisville is number 30. It's just crazy to see those 10 teams lined up against each other, because obviously those other teams have been playing really well most of the season, if not all season. But it's just very funny to see. Number 9, Cincinnati, but I think Texas Tech probably gets the nod over us just because obviously they beat us. But it was.
I'll add this too. I think it just goes to show how good they've been playing this month. the month of February has been very good to the Bearcats this year. And I mean, if you go back and I think if you pull the exact date, I think February 5th was the first game for the Bearcat. I don't know if we played Houston in February. Yeah, it was January 31st. So you did lose the opening game of February against West Virginia. But then, West came out after the game, talked to the, people amongst the crowd there in the, back alleys, and went on a nice little 4-game win streak and, pulled together. And I really am curious, like, what it was. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if it maybe was just like, hey, they needed to find their stride. Obviously, like when you look at the schedule, and I think when we go looking back, like you'll say like, oh, losing to West Virginia. Okay, they're right there in the middle of the conference. That's a kind of I guess a 50-50. It's at home, so you'd expect to win that. But, the Kansas State, Utah after this season, you're looking at that like you got to have those. I expect to win those. But the UCF one, I think we'll look at as a really good win. And I think it is now. I think we'll look back at it as an even better win because they've been a really good team this year. I mean, for those of you who aren't paying attention, they're a quiet 9-6 right now. No, they're not in the top 25, but they're at 20-7. They only have one loss outside of, conference play. Granted, they didn't really play a lot of teams in conference play, but they played Vanderbilt and they played A&M. So, their one loss in non-con was against Vanderbilt. Other than that, their losses on the season are Oklahoma State, Arizona, Iowa State, Houston, Cincinnati, and West Virginia. Like they've only lost to, for the most part, some decent teams. The Oklahoma State one was on the road. The West Virginia one was at home. And I think we can keep ragging on West Virginia as like, I want them to be bad, but they're not as bad as we would hope. So, it is what it is. West Virginia is a much better team than, I would love to give them credit for, but they're good. And so I think when we look at it, like some of these other losses, it's a little bit harder to chalk it up to being, just it sucks because for our side, like, in conference play, we've lost to some pretty decent teams. However, you can't lose to West Virginia twice and you can't lose at Arizona State when they're, firing Bobby Early. Like you just can't do it.
Can't lose to Eastern Michigan. Can't lose to Xavier, who
apparently is going to conference play. And you take it out of conference play, it's way worse. So that's kind of the thing,
By the way, if Xavier loses Patino to Providence, like just oh my gosh, that'd be just so.
But why? That's the thing I don't know is why. Why would
do you know why?
No, I don't. I actually don't.
Because Rick Pitino coached there when he was younger, and before he had moved on to the Celtics, and then to no, it was at Providence. Went to UK, left UK to coach the Celtics, got fired, then went to Louisville. But I'm sure Richard probably grew up like in Providence, or maybe has some memories there. Like maybe it's a little bit more of a homecoming for him rather than just Norwood, Ohio is. But that would be so funny for Xavier to lose a coach in 2 straight years. And the thing that I hate though is that apparently Providence had like double the NIL that Xavier had going into this year, which also means that UC probably had like triple the NIL on the roster currently than Xavier has. And that just infuriates me. And that's another reason why the coach should be let go. But we can go through all those things if he is let go. But one more point, Justin, that I want to make real quick. So as you mentioned, Cincinnati's got 3 games left. We got Oklahoma State on Saturday, senior night against BYU next week, 9:00 tip, by the way. Move that one back.
9:00 home tip.
Yeah. If there was ever a night to get rowdy on a Tuesday and just like go out and do something, that's the night. And then Saturday they will go to TCU to end the regular season on the March 7th. So that winning these 3 obviously crucial, but like I mentioned, TCU is currently the last team in on bracket matrix. So not that really matters, but a head-to-head win against the last team in on many people's predicted brackets would probably help you, probably go a long way towards your case. And obviously it's kind of a given that you have to win like at least 5 more games. But that would definitely like help you because if they're 20, like I said, if they're 20-14, they give you a real case. Like I don't know if they'll go 20-14. It doesn't like it would be very Bearcats, like we mentioned, to like get us all excited and then just lose to on Saturday to Oklahoma State. But and we've also I think we only played one game at TCU, and we just played like crap in 2024. So it's possible that we just don't pull that one out. But
I would just
like,
like to add this really fast, and then please continue. Please continue your point. Why do we keep ending with TCU? We ended 2 consecutive football seasons against TCU, and now we're ending a basketball season. Are they trying to push some kind of rivalry here? Like last game of the season? I don't know.
historic rivals, Cincinnati and TCU
Yeah,
from the Conference USA days, baby.
yeah, Conference USA days, and like we wanted to be in the Big 12 club, but we got rejected club.
Yep.
Like maybe that's what it is. Anyways,
yep, exactly. That's all I had. Winning that game against TCU would go a long way, and then we'll have to see how it shakes out for the Big 12 tournament. But I would be interested to see if we can pull something out, make it a real compelling case. And the nice thing is the Big 12 tournament, all the games are like the last game is on Saturday. We're probably not going to make it to the championship game, but the thing, Justin, that like the committee doesn't really care about the games played on Saturday or Sunday. Like you make your case during the week, you give yourself a real shot, and then kind of hope those other teams ahead of you fall out early. So
right.
So we'll see. I again probably a real long shot right now. We're not even on anybody's bracket matrix right now, but to say it's impossible would be a stretch. But and if it's house money right now for Cincinnati fans, Justin, because if we don't make it, then we don't. It is what it is. But and then you move on and figure something else out. But if you do make it, then you're golden. Like there's only 2 options here, and both of them are going to be in the long run beneficial for us.
Yeah, I mean, and one thing I want to say too, like with the way that the first weekend shakes out for the tournament, if you want to make the cut to the next stage, you have to be top 8. And so for you to be in the top 8 as it currently stands of the Big 12, I think the cut line right now is TCU. So that puts Arizona, Iowa State, Houston, Kansas, Texas Tech, UCF, BYU, TCU. So if you were to, if West Virginia flubs again and you win against Oklahoma State, you probably jump up a game, which would help just kind of in that way that those things shake out. And then if you were to beat TCU and TCU takes another loss before the end of the season, theoretically, you could jump into that top 8 seed and you could skip the first day. I'm kind of at a point though right now that I don't know if skipping the first day would be beneficial to you.
I don't think it helps you.
It doesn't help you at all. So it's kind of one of those things where like you kind of have to win the rest of your regular season games for your tournament resume, but in doing so, it might also hurt you because you might want to take that run during the Big 12 tournament. I mean, obviously, just winning every game would be great. If you could win the next 5 straight games, you're probably in. But
if you win on Wednesday and Thursday too, and get to Friday, like those are probably 2 good-looking wins. So,
yeah, I find it kind of hard. I mean, I would want to. I don't know. I would want to say I'd want to take a team, in that Tuesday game more than I would want to have that skip. But at the same time, like I'd rather have a team that's one more game a little bit gassed. But it's the same thing where, maybe a team's a little bit hotter because they played another game. Sometimes with the way that the tournament shakes out, I think you play on like Saturday and then you end up playing on Tuesday. So if you play on Tuesday, you just got that one more gear up game that kind of gets you in shape. Obviously, your season can either be made or break in that game. But it is interesting because I feel like generally if you have a bye in the Big 12 tournament, you're probably a tournament team. I think I'd be curious to go back and see. Last year was a little bit weird because there was so much like, chub rub on the SEC all year round. Like they just wanted to make them the number one team and they were their number one conference. Granted, they were good, but come on. So I think, and sure, we'll give it to them because Florida won the championship. So it makes sense. But regardless, like there was so much hype on the SEC last year that I think it kind of cut into the Big 12's number of seeds, or number of teams that they're making into the tournament. But again, you make that top 8, I think you're in. And
Yep.
so I don't think you win your way into that top 8 in the Big 12 tournament. You have to make that cut, and then you got to still do some work if you're the number 8 team, which right now, again, as it currently stands, is TCU. I think TCU will probably be in if they win 2 of their last 3 games, and if they win 1 game in the conference, I don't think there's any question for TCU. But for West Virginia and for Cincinnati on that cut line, if we're the 9 seed, we're probably going to end up playing that 8 seed, which means we'd play TCU again. If we're the 10 seed, we probably end up playing the number 7 seed, which would be either UCF or BYU. So the way this works out, it's very likely that we end up playing either BYU or TCU in the tournament, like after that first game. So you kind of want to win those games to prove that you can do it. So then if you get to the tournament and then you play that game again, now you kind of know that you can do it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's just kind of like a more detailed look at like exactly how this might net out. But again, in order to do that, you got to win the next 3 games. And if you drop one of those, it kind of just changes where you sit. But
I got a clip idea.
You know,
I got a clip idea, Justin, for to go along with this podcast. Yeah. Do you know the show Shoresy?
No, unfortunately not.
Okay. So it's a Letterkenny spinoff, but in the first season of Shoresy, they're trying to reignite their senior AAA hockey team, which is basically just adult hockey, but like guys who are not good even for like the lowest professional leagues. And it's more popular in Canada than it is in the US, but he's trying to revive his local team, and he comes up with a slogan, "We're never going to lose again." So I think I'm going to put that clip out, you know, and we're just never going to lose again. So
yeah,
I think that should be the title of this episode too. Never going to lose again. So,
dude,
by the way, real quick.
Go ahead.
No, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, yes, please just make it to Friday. That would be, you make it to Friday, you're in. Like, there's no questions asked on that. I think at that point, you have to be in. But I think you do also have to win 2 games. I think if you like just go tomorrow and lose, or not tomorrow, like this week and lose to Oklahoma State, then you're done. The whole show's over, folks.
Either end it early or draw us out. You know, like don't like do a middle.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Make a compelling enough case for us to get angry about, like, if it doesn't happen.
Yeah, make us be mad at the committee and not at you.
Activate and mobilize your base and have them start writing their local committee members. You know,
the theme of 2026: deflection. Put it on somebody else.
Exactly. And then, by the way, on Bracketologist, not an exact science, but they have 10 Big 10 bids, 10 SEC bids, 8 ACC bids. That bum league gets 8 bids, and the Big 12 only gets 6. By the way, Big East only has 3 bids. Just crazy to see how that league is kind of like just not getting any respect, even though it had UConn. But
I would just like to say that's all thanks to the old was it Pitt coach? Who was the
Capel? Yep.
Was it Capel?
Yeah, and he's about to get fired too.
Was he the one that was bitching about it like 2 seasons ago?
Yes, he was. Yeah. But he's about to get fired too. So, but
RIP.
Yeah. So I think you know, you either make the tournament or you don't, and you enter the job market. It's probably the most favorite job, best job. Like maybe Kansas State gets a little bit of a leg up on you, and then maybe if Ohio State opens, they just have more money than you, but they don't have more basketball prestige than you. So like, I just want people to like dream big, man. This is a good job. Like I understand like people that have like, there's definitely jobs with probably a little bit more money than us, but like a good job, a good fan base. Like people want this, like people are behind this program. They want this program to win. So like I would not be surprised if like if we're kind of out there as like the top available job, like at the end of the conference tournament season, like there, we went through the list last week, Justin. Like I don't really
Yep.
have another team that stands out as like a top line better job than Cincinnati. Like maybe Syracuse, but like I don't really know what the situation is at Syracuse. And a lot of those fans are like upset with like, the ACC move. Is there a lot of buy-in, right now
Right.
there? So I don't know. Like entering a period where none of like the really big jobs are gonna open, you probably are one of the best jobs, like if this opens.
That's a good point. Yeah. I mean, I hope that's the case.
Yep.
Again, this is what we said last week. This is what we'll say next week, and we'll say it this week too. You got to do what you can to make sure that anybody who wants this seat can have it.
Mhm.
Like, and if it's a high level talent coach, you need to be in prime position to get that guy in. And so I don't know. I would, like you said, I'd imagine maybe there's some kind of background conversations maybe happening. But the proposition of how this season ends, I think is going to be very interesting because if they screw around and make the tournament, Steve, do you think that changes anything if you lose in the first game? Let's say you make the tournament, you make the first four, right? Or let's say you end up finding a way into some seeding. And if they win that first game, I think West probably stays. Honestly.
Well, so here's the thing, Justin. Like everybody, like even Wes acknowledged it. Like everybody agreed before the start of the season that making the tournament was the only thing that would keep him safe here. And
Yeah.
obviously, just in trying to think of things in longer terms now rather than shorter terms, especially like with this coaching search, like, because I think people are like, like very reactionary and be like, oh, go get Mick. Like, like he's good. He's good. I'm like, guys, did we all just forget like how we were all feeling by the end of that run? And
I'm going to be single soon. Let me go to my ex.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
I miss her. Come on, man.
Yeah. I'm crushed without her. Well, and then also like, it's like, oh yeah, we can only get this guy, it's like, think big, man. Like this is a good job and probably the best conference in college at least most talented and deepest conference in college basketball. And it's a job with a lot of history to it, and you're probably going to be one of the best jobs open. You don't need to just do a retread just because. Does that make us any better than Xavier? If we just do a retread of a coach that used to be good.
No, it makes us the same is what it does.
That went to the Pac-12 and like did all right, but didn't do great. And then, came back here. Like, does that make us any better? We don't need to do a retread. And, obviously Schertz, Calhoun, Luke Murray, those are all great options. But if you reach out and a big coach is like interested in taking this job, you exhaust all options, Justin, because like, for example, before LSU opened up in this past college football cycle, Florida was the best job open. And people were like, why don't you reach out to Marcus Freeman? Why don't you reach out to X or Y or Z, or whoever. Same with Penn State. Like people were telling Penn State, like, reach out to whoever. Obviously that search went a lot longer than people wanted it to go. And they did end up with a good coach, but they were in a position where they were were at the top of the deck and they could like reach out to anybody. They were reaching out to NFL coaches, man. Like I think what we are unfortunately, looking at is like, oh yeah, we've not been very good in a long time. Like we should just like take the safest option just because we want to be good again. And, is Mick a safe option? Probably. You're not going to obviously buy him out of his contract. He would have to resign and all that fun stuff, but just dream bigger for me. Let's all just like, keep our options open. Like,
yeah.
I understand that we're all feeling a certain way, but we can't think of this thing in just like ones or twos. Like you can be anti-Wes and also anti-Mick, and I'm kind of that way. So.
I think one of the most important things you really hit the nail on the head there is just you should be, if you're Cincinnati, you should be looking at current high level Power 5 coaches, and you should be looking at coaches that are winning, and you should be looking at paying a coach to take them from a successful program and put them in yours. I am a firm believer that we are a lot better. Like our status, I think, should be a lot better than it currently is. And I think a lot of people maybe see that. And like the discourse has been like, we're going to go get the best mid-major coach. We're going to go get the best option for this, mid-major levels. Like that is Cincinnati AAC thinking. That's American Conference thinking. We're in the Big 12 now. And like you said last week, this is the most important part, Steve. We're in the best situation to hire a coach that we've been in 30 years. Those are your exact words. And they're so true. Because never have the Bearcats been in this prime of a position to hire a basketball coach in the best conference in the country. That's never been the case. And it is now. So you got to go out and get a coach that matches that level. I mean, I'm not asking you to go out and hire like a Bill Self or a Calipari or something, but hire a coach from a conference like that that's making the tournament every year. You should be hiring a coach that's making a tournament once every other year at the minimum. That should be your expectation. You shouldn't be hiring a coach that's made the tournament one time with a mid-major team and might never get back, because that's what we did. And look what happened. That's what we did. And look what happened. That we did that twice in a row. We did that with Brannon and we did that with Miller. Like, you can't do that again. You have to hire for a Big 12 level team. You're at the top level, hire like it, play like it.
And I'll push back just on one thing and we can move on after this. I do think Schertz and Calhoun would be good coaches because they're obviously like Schertz has proven that he can win in multiple places, and like the Mountain West as it's currently constituted is a good basketball conference too, gotten multiple bids in the last few years. And like he's got an eye for talent. He's got a guy named Gary Clark on his roster. I successfully bullied John Rothstein from not using the problem again for that Gary Clark with 3 R's. But and again, neither of those guys would be bad. Like I would be really happy with either of those guys. But
I
like
would
I said,
too. I mean, yeah.
But yeah, you're right though. Like you're right. You should not limit yourself to just like who's available. Like ask the question. Are you interested? Who's unavailable? I mean, I don't know if our Boy Scout AD is going to do that, but.
I mean, I agree too. Like, I think that's the thing is like those kind of hires, yes, they would be good. But the way that I look at it is, to a degree, they all carry some certain amount of risk. And, I would like to say that that's not going to be the same thing as hiring a Scott Satterfield because, let's go for the Power 5 experience. They might not be the best coach, but they're a great coach that's available and yada, yada. Well, let's also not hire a coach that's getting fired. Let's make sure we don't do that either, because that's generally a sign that maybe they're not a good fit. But I don't know. Like, I think for this, they need to keep their options open, but they need to be looking at getting the absolute best hire possible. And if by some, grace of the basketball gods, Wes Miller saves his job before the end of the season because he makes it to the tournament and wins a game, then you know what? Good for him. Good for Cincinnati Bearcats basketball. We're back in the tournament. The team's back on track. You got a good roster this season. Things didn't go well at the beginning, but you got back on track at the end of it, and you found a way in, and you proved that you could do something in February and March, which, let's be honest, Bearcats basketball teams have not done much of lately. I'll take it. If you want to give Wes another year, I can't argue with it. If he actually goes and does the thing after all the narratives this season, that shows some bounce back. I like that. That shows some fire. Great. You could do that again. And you get one more try. But guess what? It's still going to be the same situation. Make the tournament and you're gone. You're not going to get any more goodwill. You're just going to stave off kind of the inevitable unless you do something really big. And that's kind of the thing for Wes is like you're at a point where you're already down at the bottom of the totem pole with the fans. You have to earn your way back up to the top. And I think the past month of basketball has done a lot for that. And I think it's made a lot of improvements, but you got to follow up on it. And if you don't, sorry. If you do, great. We're still cheering for you. Like that's kind of the way I see it here. As much as I still would prefer to see a new coach and just kind of move on. I also am one of the biggest proponents, and Steve, you've known this because you've heard me rant about this for years. I hate team turnover. It sucks. I loathe it. The transfer portal, I would rather keep the guys, even if we don't do good, like for this season, if we could keep Baba and Mustafa again, that would be fantastic. But obviously Baba doesn't have any eligibility left. But if you could do that, run that back and try that again and keep more of this roster and get some more chemistry, I miss those days because that's Cincinnati basketball did really good with keeping a few guys on the roster. So it's I don't know. It's a weird situation right now. We're kind of all over the place because there's a lot of potential possibilities out there. And it's going to take realistically another week and a half to figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
It might not even take a week and a half. We might find out on like Friday night, Saturday, whenever when's the Oklahoma State game?
Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern time, 1 p.m. God's time.
We might find out on Saturday.
That's right.
But Steve, that's 50 minutes of baseball, and we have jobs, and it's the morning.
Baseball?
50 minutes of basketball. Baseball. Please. The weekend that was.
Yes, it was a little 8-game Alabama getaway to start the season for those Cincinnati Bearcats, and they went 5-3. They obviously took the big one against that team from Auburn, Alabama, those Auburn Tigers, who I incorrectly had as number 5 in the nation. They were number 8, but still top 10 win on the road. I didn't say the full thing.
No, he said it. He said top 10 win on the pod. I'm clipping that. I'm saving that for myself. I won't use it for the Twitter, but I'm definitely saving that for myself. Top 10 win.
Fair enough. Hey, number 9 team in the nation win by 8-0. I think that's top 10 win. Qualifies. Yeah. And then they split the series at UAB this past weekend. Lost the first one in a heartbreaker on a walk-off, and then won the last 2. So today, Wednesday, February 25th, Cincinnati will have its opening home game against those Bowling Green Falcons. And so this weekend also, Cincinnati will host Austin Peay for a 3-game set. Folks, 4 p.m. Friday baseball game. Justin, I mentioned it to you earlier. The temperature of the high for Friday, it's a cool 61 degrees and sunny. Might just catch my boy out there. I was talking with Justin before we started recording that we need to that I was thinking about going for the opening game, but it's going to be like mid 40s, cloudy, like not maybe greatest baseball weather, but Friday, nice and sunny, a little early 4 o'clock start, wearing the all black. That might get me there. So
yes, sir.
So and like I said, Cincinnati after this, today's game starts a solid 10-game homestand for the Bearcats that extends all the way to Tuesday, March 10th. So if you're interested, might as well get on out there and support those boys. By the way, our buddy Jeff Gentle and Tim Adams, who you might know on Twitter as the UC Baseball guys, like they don't have an official Twitter, but they definitely like to talk about baseball. They're starting a podcast for baseball. So if you're interested in more of I like baseball as a fan, but I might not be the most like analytical in the game, like nuts and bolts type of guy. So if you're interested in that, definitely check them out. They're going to be starting this year, and Bishop Ball is real, man. Like this is better get on the train right now. So definitely go and check them. So
that's good.
But yeah, definitely go and find them.
We need some more juice for the Bearcats baseball. I mean, I don't know. I feel like some of the bigger outlets don't really talk about it as much. We try to cover it a little bit here, and we've been pushing that third sport for a long time. We've been trying to make it happen. But it's good that we have some more support for that. And, of course, with our man Sponseller too, getting some more coverage for the Bearcats as well.
Yep.
So, I'd like to just add to for that UAB stretch where the Bearcats, had that 3-game stand, lost the first 2, won the last one. UAB, for those of you who don't know, also went out, like, granted, they ended up losing the series against Florida, but Florida, who's a very good team, and it has a lot of national recognition.
Another top 10 team
this season. Yeah, top 10 team. First game of the season, knocked them out. Like, that's great. Like, knocked out an SEC team, game 1. I think that was a really good thing for them. So I think UAB is a lot better than people might just see for the, UAB logo. I guess it was a 4-game homestand, right? Yeah, sorry, I messed that up. Lost the first 2, won the second 2, so he split series. But yeah, I just wanted to add that in there because we beat a top 10 SEC team. They beat a top 10 SEC team. it's some good talent there, and I think there's some potential. But I really hope, at least with the stretch with the stand, I'd be interested if we played one of these games against Austin P in their home stadium. But of course, it's better that it's in the in Cincinnati, because then everybody else can go to it. But it'd just be a little more convenient for me.
They're a good team, man. Like they're our guy JP keeps showing them out. They're a quality team. So and then we currently don't have RPI for this baseball season. Oh no, I take that back. Guess what? Cincinnati is an RPI that's very unofficial and is not. It's like the net. It's not really a thing until midway through the season. But guess what? UC's RPI is currently
28.
4.
Holy crap! What?
Yeah, number 4 in the nation on RPI, and that's obviously carried by those wins at UAB, and I think Jacksonville. Because UAB is number 10, and I think Auburn's up here too. But again, that's very unofficial and very early, but just funny, like Bishop ball, man.
Hey, man, Bearcats baseball or basketball also had a top 4, top 5 thing going on there for a while. Defense. So, I don't know. And eventually it reigned true. Granted, it didn't convert to the Bearcats being a top 25 team. However, you never know. This is a little bit of a different situation in Bearcats baseball land. And I don't know, dude. I hope that they just run the table. That'd be great. They've got some good games stretched up here, like you said. That 10-game homestand before Big 12 play starts is going to be very interesting. I think if they can win the grand majority of that, they'll be really good.
Yeah, and they got a lot of good home games, so definitely go out and support them.
Yeah. All right, Steve. Well, I think that covers pretty much everything we had to talk about, except for the last mention of rah rah rah, Screaming Eagle.
Eagle Screech, both the men and women American hockey teams won gold, and as a former hockey player myself, card-carrying member of USA Hockey, I was really happy to see that. I got into hockey again, like right before the Olympics, because I went up to the World Junior Championships in Minnesota, and then I went to an NHL game and a Cyclones game in the month of January as well, leading up to it. So I was trying to get ready for it. First time in 12 years, by the way, that the NHL players were back at the Olympics, and it did not disappoint. It was great tournament. And obviously the women's side was an awesome tournament too. And it's pretty cool that both the women's and men's teams beat Canada in overtime with golden goals. And
it was the same score line too, which is crazy. Yeah. Like the odds of that. I mean, that's worth a movie right there.
And USA winning 46 years after the Miracle on Ice game to the day. Winning on Johnny Gaudreau's son's second birthday, having the Gaudreau jersey and the kids out there, man, like that was just awesome. So like it was just like one of those moments that like you just watch your TV and you're just like, man, this is sick. Like, I don't know about you, Justin. You obviously you follow the Raptors, so you've gotten to see like one of your teams win a championship. Personally, I mean, I'm a Tottenham fan, so I saw us win the Europa League, but that's kind of the equivalent in European soccer of winning like your conference tournament. Like it is a big accomplishment. Now, it's obviously a European trophy, but it's not
right
the Champions League or Premier League. But so I don't know. It was just like cool to see like one of the teams I really enjoy following like win something like that they hadn't won in 46 years. So
I'll add this as a last point on that, because yes, that is very good on the soccer point here, Steve. How fitting is it that when we both just at some point of youth decided to be interested in BPL, that you chose Tottenham, I chose Arsenal, and we both chose teams that just unanimously suck all the time. Like just short of it. They're always right there, but they're just short of it.
It's always just easy to pick a team that's good, like, I mean, well, about 10 years ago, I know a few Manchester United fans that picked their team about 15 years ago, and then they currently hate their lives,
Oh,
like,
I'm sure. Yeah.
It's nice. Well, I mean, I hate to say it, but Arsenal, unless they slip, they look obviously beat Tottenham on Sunday. Look pretty good. So,
Steve, they've slipped for decades. Like that's
Steven Gerrard would warn them against slipping.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't have faith in them to actually do the thing, but maybe they'll finally turn it around. We'll see. They always like to come up short right at the end, and that costs them every single time. And old Pep squad, it's just the most. That has to be the most dominant team. Do you want to talk about dynasty? That's the most dominant team, I think, in sports. It's got to be. It's got to be up there.
Yeah, I mean, when
you got for a coach,
when you got an entire country bankrolling your roster, that's pretty good.
That's true. It's that good old Eddie had sponsorship. All right, Steve. Thank you, sir. It is time for us to go to our real jobs. Yes, we do have real jobs, as it is the morning of February 25th.
Before work hours, Justin.
Yeah, before work hours. So we're going to go do that, and we're going to throw this thing up. Hopefully you guys can listen midday, and then we'll get a little bit, get a little bit of playtime for this before we end up getting that Saturday game against Oklahoma State. Bearcats, 1 o'clock Central, 2 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock God's time. And just keep it rolling. I hope that they can find a way, just to make this happen, because at the end of the day, we all need to be very aware. If you are rooting for the Bearcats to lose right now just because you want Wes Miller gone, you got some problems. I want this team to win. But if they lose, it sucks. It still always sucks. But we know that there's better days ahead. We'll figure it out. Either way, let's get that dub on Saturday. Steve, pleasure talking to you, buddy. For myself, for Steve, for the 1012 Network, this has been Viva.
The cat's rawr. Lord, help me. I can't change. Won't you